Hey everyone, so really quickly before we get into the video, I wanted to show you guys a very quick and easy way to save some money if you are interested in becoming a certified Scrum Master and you want to go through the course that I went through. So you want to go to knowledgehut.com, and when you're on the website, you want to go over to courses, and then you're going to click on Certified Scrum Master Certification. Once you're there, you want to click on View Schedules, and you will see that the classes range from $3.99 to about $4.95. So once you get to this page, you will notice that the classes range and they all have different prices. So you are more than welcome to click on any price that works for you, and it also depends on what day of the week that you take the course. So what I'm going to do is just randomly click on this one. And once you're there, you want to make sure that you enter two codes. So on your left hand side, you'll see, do you have a referral code? So the answer is yes. So you want to enter this code. And then on your right hand side under promo codes, you want to enter the following code. And so you will notice that this course goes from $399, and when you click apply, you save about $20. And if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know in the comments down below, or feel free to contact me at the information listed in the description box. Enjoy the video. Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl, Lot Goddess. Welcome back to my corner where I inspire others to dream more, live more, and become more. So if you clicked on this video, then that means that you have already seen part one, right? If the answer is no, I'm gonna need for you to click on the link above. I don't know what side, I never do at this point, but I'm gonna need you to click on the link above, go check out part one, and then come back because it's really only gonna make sense, okay? In today's video, we are gonna be getting into 5 more effective skills that every single effective Scrum Master needs. So if you are interested and this is your first time, please do not forget to subscribe, but only subscribe if you're feeling the vibe. And without further ado, we're gonna jump right into the video. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start straight off with number 6. Again, if you've already seen part 1, then you know that I listed the first 5. So this video is gonna be giving you number 6 through 10. So my number 6 tip in order to be an effective Scrum Master is you have to know how to coach your team, okay? So a lot of the times a Scrum Master is someone who implements the Scrum framework, okay? So you will often have to refer to your Scrum guide. The Scrum guide is really that's like the Bible of Scrum, right? It's not very long. I think the Scrum guide is maybe about 14 pages or something like that. And so 9 times out of 10, if you're already certified as a Scrum Master, then you know exactly what the Scrum guide is and you understand it. But the importance of being a coach to your team is that you have to know the Scrum framework from front to back. So Scrum is like, your Scrum Master is like the new kid on the block. So you really kind of have to establish yourself, because a lot of times people don't really know exactly what a Scrum Master does, and that's okay. Like, your goal is to coach your team on exactly what your role is and exactly how you can be effective for them when it comes to completing a project on time. You want to make sure that they understand the framework. So a lot of times that can look like making sure that people understand their roles and that they're not overstepping boundaries. Your role is to just bring people back together, make sure that people really know and understand exactly what it means to operate based on a Scrum framework. And essentially, Scrum basically just means like operating in a way that's like agile, but also in a way that's effective and concise, especially when you're working on complex projects. So I talked about a lot of exactly what a Scrum Master is and like the role and the definition and all that stuff in another one of my videos. So make sure you guys go check that out if you haven't already. But yes, you have to know how to coach your team, educate them on exactly what the Scrum framework is and how it works and how it doesn't work. So number 7, you have to know and understand what it means to implement certain software. So software implementation. Now that might sound kind of fancy, y'all, but really it's just knowing how to operate certain websites and software. So some of the most common like project management software tools, for example, you'll probably hear Asana, Trello, Monday.com, Microsoft Office, or Microsoft Teams. I know a lot of times in the tech space, people use Jira or like Confluence and things like that. You want to make sure that you know how to operate these things, because a lot of times when you're looking at your workflow, most companies are going to use some form of a project management software to be able to track the progress of certain projects, right? Some of my favorites that I've been using lately primarily are Trello, and then I really just love Google Suite because it's just really easy, it's really convenient. Like, even though Google Suite technically isn't like a project management software, but if you know how to use one, so like for example, if you know how to use Trello, the other ones are pretty similar. They have very similar interfaces, but there are just like certain things that are just a little bit different. So you as a Scrum Master, it's really important that when it comes to the software that you guys use as a team, specifically to communicate, like you don't have to know how to code and do all this like specific like back end or front end development. You don't gotta know how to do stuff like that. Scrum is not techie at all. It's not a technical role at all. So you wanna make sure that you know how to implement certain software, even if it's not your project management stuff. When it comes to communication, like for example, at my job, we use Slack. Knowing how to operate Slack and knowing how to get the message out there to all of your team members to make sure that they know and understand exactly what is being given when it comes to a certain project. A lot of times, the good thing about these software is that they'll give you a visual, and I'll try to include like a screenshot so that you guys can kind of see exactly what a workflow looks like. You want to make sure that you know how to follow up on certain deadlines. If deadlines are not being met, there are certain ways that the software can kind of let you know. It'll ding or it'll turn red or just something like that, right? So number 8, I feel like this one is definitely more of a softer skill, and that is you have to have empathy. Along with being a Scrum Master, with all the skills that I have listed between part 1 and even part 2 now, you have to know how to empathize with your team, okay? If you have someone who comes to you and they have an issue, if they feel bothered by something, if it seems like, you know, somebody is not really being an effective team player, you want your team to feel confident in knowing that they can come to you when it seems like something is off, when it seems like something just isn't feeling right, or just in general, honestly, like you want to be able to make sure that your team can come to you and that they trust you enough to be able to share certain information with you. If you're a person that comes off, you know, real harsh and, you know, really strict all the time, like you don't have any like personable skills, I'm not gonna want to talk to you, sis. Like if you always acting real funky, you know, like you don't really care for people, work can be a lot, right? Like work can be, everybody wants to just get to the end goal, get to the end goal, get to the end goal. But I feel like a lot of times people don't talk enough like about what comes with that and like the mental capacity that it takes to really be an effective professional at your job. Being an empath, I'm not saying that you got to be a counselor, but you at least have to be able to identify if it seems like somebody is off, checking in with them, asking them like, hey, how are you feeling? Like, do you maybe need to take a break? Maybe you can reach out to whoever, you know, to request a day off. You want to be able to make sure that you know, like if it seems like the vibe is off with your team, being able to understand that like, okay, hey, something is going on. Maybe we can do some team building activities to kind of bring everybody back together and bring us back on the same page. But you really, really, really want to make sure that you're listening to your team and that you're not just robotic where you're coming to work every day and it's like, okay, we're going to just focus on the project. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to have fun, whatever that looks like, but you building up that team is super duper duper important. Number 9, you have to be willing to be flexible, and also you have to have a sense of openness. So I feel like this one is like really, really important because I believe I mentioned this in my last video, but you can't have a strong head without a strong body. If someone has an idea that's not necessarily like your own, that doesn't make them wrong and you right, okay? Things change, you know, people have different experiences and people have different backgrounds. So once you kind of have that humble attitude, like I don't know everything, you'll learn that people on your team have a lot to offer. You really might not know how to resolve this issue, but someone else on your team might actually know how to do it, right? So you don't want to be to the point where like it's always like me, I know what's best, I know what's best. And then as a result, your team just doesn't want to come to you for anything because you're not, like you're never really willing to be flexible. Then it's like, what's the point? You have to be flexible and willing to understand that my way is not the only way. You know, understanding and appreciating people's opinions and being open, and actually, like I talked about in the last point, being willing to actually listen to another way to do something. You have to be a divergent thinker. When you're a divergent thinker, that basically just means that you understand that there is more than one way to get to the end goal. And last but not least, I feel like this one is actually super important. Maybe I should have mentioned it sooner. You have to have a sense of emotional intelligence. So you guys may have heard of emotional intelligence. I know for me, I came from a social work background, and then before that, I got my bachelor's in psychology. So I know a lot about emotional intelligence. I done took the Myers-Briggs test 11 times, honestly. When it comes to being emotionally intelligent, number 1, that has a lot to do with you being self-aware, right? If you are not self-aware, then you might not understand that you might be the problem. You might be the reason why your team is not reaching an end goal effectively, right? Like along with all the other tips that I have mentioned, if you are not self-aware of exactly what your own areas of development are or your weaknesses, I don't like to say weaknesses, but then you're not really going to be able to really be that effective leader, because in your mind, you're thinking my way is the right way. When in all actuality, anyone who's self-aware, they're going to recognize that like, okay, hey, I really might not be the best communicator. Being emotionally intelligent really just means being self-aware and understanding that you don't know everything, but then also like being aware of exactly what your weaknesses are or your areas of improvement. How can I develop these areas so that I can continue to be an effective Scrum Master for my team? Another positive about emotional intelligence is that it also teaches you about the importance of setting boundaries, right? So setting boundaries for yourself, but then it will sort of be a trickle down effect, and you'll teach your team how to also have boundaries. If you guys have completely different personalities, the way that you interpret something might be completely different than the way another person interprets it. And now you guys are bumping heads one whole time. You guys are basically saying the same thing, but y'all are just receiving it in different ways. So now it looks like conflict. So now we got to figure out, how the heck are we gonna get out of this? So when you're emotionally intelligent, and when you also encourage your team to be emotionally intelligent, then that means that you guys will have a better understanding of yourselves, and you have a better understanding of your team. So, all right, and so those are gonna be my tips, guys. So in total, that was 10 tips, and who knows, in the future, we might end up coming out with some more, but these are like my 10 like actual core tips that I feel like if you have these skills, I promise you will be an effective Scrum Master. So if you like this video and you would like to see more Scrum content, please make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Share it with somebody else who's interested, okay, y'all? And again, the best thing about these skills is that most times you probably already have these skills, okay? It's just a matter of applying them in a new environment and in a new area. Please give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.